I hate Dave Chappelle. I hate everything about Dave Chappelle. I can't stand this guy, and I swear to God, I swear on my life that I made this video a long time ago, but I didn't bother to upload it because I just didn't really like the way that it came out. I didn't articulate my points clearly enough, and I just wasn't proud of it. So I just kind of let it fall by the wayside. I deleted it or whatever, and I just never bothered making the video. But Dave Chappelle is in the news again, and this isn't really about me kind of trashing on Dave Chappelle. It's more like me trashing on conservatives and other members of the right who I thought were cool, but are actually just a bunch of knee benders and a bunch of ass kissers who are desperate to seek the approval of people, in the upper echelons of the entertainment industry. And I just think it's kind of pathetic, the whole affair. But who I'm really talking to are regular people, the down to earth people, the working class people. I just want to say, man, y'all got to get some perspective. You gotta be mindful of your time and use it wisely. Same with that energy. Same with your passion. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your passion. Don't waste your breath fighting for somebody like Dave Chappelle, who's a coward, who's a fraud, who's a fucking liar, who's a bigot. He hates Western people. He hates white people. So I'm not interested in defending somebody like that. Somebody who wishes harm on people like me and my family. Somebody who wishes to replace my fellow Westerners. I just don't like him. The guy's just a bitter, resentful, jealous loser, and I can't stand him. But before we continue with this video and get into the meat and potatoes are the main subject of this vid. We gotta dial back the clocks really quick and talk about this special here, which is the 846 special that aired aired in 2020. After the death of George Floyd, who of course died of fentanyl overdose. Of course, this event was used to kind of make a lot of money for people like him. And of course, the Democrats and Black Lives Matter activists, they made a lot of money. And of course, they went out and they raped and they killed and, they burned down our cities and stuff like that. And it's just the cops stood around and did nothing. Remember that time? Of course, at the time before that bullshit election, which totally did not happen the way that it was reported. That time in America. Well, Dave Chappelle goes out and he does a special and he says a lot of goofy stuff, none of which is substantiated or rooted in facts and logic and reason and all that good stuff. But he says something interesting. And it stood with me for a long time. And because he said this, it makes me wonder why the fuck are members of the right rushing to defend people like this? They did it, multiple times, and we're going to get into that, but I'm paraphrasing here. I'm paraphrasing the words that came out of his mouth during this 8 minutes and 46 second special. He said something to the effect of these specific shooters like Christopher Dorner, Micah Johnson, and I think one or two other ones. These men, according to Dave Chappelle, they were members of the military. They were soldiers. They were trained to fight for liberty and freedom. They saw themselves as the good guy. They were supposed to be a force for good in the world, and they got to fight evil no matter what. They're always going to be a soldier. They're always going to be, the good guys because they're in America's army or whatever. And then, of course, they come home. And to Dave Chappelle, it's no surprise. It's no wonder that they pick up a weapon and they start shooting at the police and they start shooting at other white Americans. It's because they were trained to do so. They were trained to combat evil. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's what he's hinting at, essentially. These people were not ideologically driven, ideologically possessed murderers, killers, terrorists. These people weren't any of those things. They were soldiers fighting for righteousness and fighting for liberty and fighting to free and liberate the black Americans from the evil white devils. And that's Dave Chappelle's worldview. If you watch the 8 minutes and 46 second special, I dare you to fucking challenge me. I don't have to lie, by the way. I don't have to put words in people's mouths to make a point. That's why the Yankee Marshal's afraid of me. That's why that Navy dork is afraid of me. The guy's dishonest. All these people are dishonest. Dave Chappelle's no different. The guy's a fucking loser. And members of the right, these conservatives, they go out of their way to defend this guy and to shield him from any sort of criticism, especially if that criticism comes from the left, which we're going to get into right now. So this was all also kind of recent history. This happened last year. So protesters denounced Netflix over Chappelle transgender comments. So there was a bunch of protests and stuff about, Dave Chappelle, and all these goofballs came out and were like crying about Dave Chappelle's really stupid and unfunny comedy special. But again, I want to put something in perspective. Around this time last year, Dave Chappelle's career was waning. He was becoming less and less relevant, at a rate that nobody really predicted. Nobody really, could appreciate the rate in which he was becoming incredibly irrelevant. And it was largely because he went woke. He went woke and he said all the stupid shit that he said during 2020. And people were like, okay, fuck this guy. Well, he takes it upon himself to do this special. And he makes these jokes at the expense of members of the LGBTQ whatever community, the Rainbow Coalition. So the members of the transes, they did not like the jokes. They were the butt crack of the jokes. Not all of them, but a handful of them. He went on this cringy diatribe. He's like, I'm on Team Turf. I'm on Team Turf. Let me be fair though. I don't think what he was doing, he didn't do it to be hateful. He didn't do it to hurt anybody. He did it because he knows that he's becoming less relevant. He knows that a large segment of his audience were members of the right, people who were edgy, people who were, more tolerant of certain speech that would come out of the mouth of somebody like Dave Chappelle. And he lost these people. So he goes out of his way. He makes these jokes at the expense of the transes. The transes come out and attack Dave Chappelle. And then what does the right do? They all flock to his defense. They all rush to do the counter protesting. They all make their stupid, cringy videos defending my free speech and my cancel culture, my wokeness, and all this other bullshit. And I'm just like, even if, he was legitimately making jokes in good faith and he wasn't, there wasn't a fucking agenda behind what he was doing, why the hell would you go out of your way to defend somebody like Dave Chappelle in the first place? What utility is there in defending a creep, a racist bigot, somebody who's anti-white, Western civilization? What utility is there in defending somebody like that from being, quote unquote, canceled? I'm genuinely curious. It's not a fucking rhetorical question or a premise to a joke. Like, I legitimately want to know what point is there in defending somebody like Dave Chappelle? Now, and again, I just want to make something very clear. I am not an ally. I've never made a video antagonistic or hateful towards any group of person, and that includes members of like the rainbow people. I got no issues with you guys. The transes, I got no issues with the transes. Hopefully the transes ain't got no issues with me. I don't make videos about them. Hopefully they're not making videos about me. And it should stay that way. But I know bullshit when I see it. What came out of Dave Chappelle's mouth, it was not to hurt anybody. It was to court favor with the right. And these fucking idiots ate it up, and it's disgusting. It really is disgusting that you guys would go out of your way to defend a fucking fraud like this. And it was just so blatantly obvious what he was doing. But again, unlike Dave Chappelle, well, actually, I don't want to speak about Dave Chappelle's history because I don't really know. But as far as I can remember, at a very, very young age, Dave Chappelle was always in show business. The guy was always privileged. He's more privileged than me. But he wants to say that that a homeless white guy is more privileged and they're luckier than Dave Chappelle, who's always been a rich bitch, who's always been on the TV, been in the movies, and has had a relatively flourishing career. He had a really successful career. He has a really successful career, but somehow all white people are better off than he is. Somehow, I don't know. Again, I just don't understand. I just don't understand, and because of this, I just want to impress upon members of the right, people who are based in shit, to just get some fucking perspective. Don't go out of your way to defend people like Dave Chappelle. Don't think that you need to go out of your way to defend a fucking millionaire just because the people that are attacking him also don't like you. Just stay out of it. Worry about yourself. Worry about your family. You know what you should be worried about? You know what you should be fighting for? Fight for the kids in your school district who are being groomed and abused by the teachers. Why don't you fight for and defend and speak up for the truckers who are freezing their butts off out there in the north, out there trying to fight for our human rights. They're out there making a fucking difference. Those people deserve our love and respect, not Dave Chappelle, not this fucking penthouse millionaire, this privileged woke bitch who's like trying to pretend to be edgy and shit now when he's not. The guy's a fucking resentful loser. And then you got cucks like Dick Masterson and that fat pedophile Vito or whatever. I think he's a pedophile. He made some creepy comments about children. I call him Vito the pedo. I think he got banned. By the way, Vito, if you see this, go fuck yourself. You're a cunt. But, these guys go out there, they're counter protesting. I'm just like, dude, what are you doing with your fucking time, bro? Like, what you guys like try to act like you're all fucking base and red pilled and shit, but you're going out there bending the knee, kissing the ass of people like Dave Chappelle, a fucking millionaire. You guys are fucking pathetic. You guys are a bunch of cucks, bunch of simps, and all the other derogatory shit that I can say about you. But before I get to this last article that I wanted to talk about, I just want to put something in perspective about that 8 minutes and 46 second special. At a point in the special, Dave Chappelle states that that George Floyd is his hero. That George Floyd and people like George Floyd who survived the ghetto or survived, living in this evil, racist, oppressive America, they're his hero. And that his community doesn't need any more heroes. But George Floyd is his hero. That's what he said, verbatim. And they also stated that all those rapists and murderers and looters and shit like that, they weren't really rioting. They weren't really riots, is what he said. Watch the video yourself if you don't believe me. Again, I don't have to fucking lie. So those guys are his hero, eh? Check this out. From the Rolling Stone, this was published earlier today in the afternoon. Dave Chappelle's latest achievement, helping kill an affordable housing development. Comedian threatened to pull his business ventures if his hometown Yellow Springs, Ohio, went ahead with the plan. So Dave Chappelle threatened to pull his various business ventures from his hometown of Yellow Springs, Ohio. Did I say Yellowstone? Oh my God, that show is growing on me. If the village council went ahead with the plan to build, wait for it, more affordable housing in the area. Okay, let's go ahead and play this clip really quick.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Dave Chappelle. I just want to say, and Marianne, I can talk to you about this privately. I don't know why the village council would be afraid of litigation from a $24 million a year company while they X out a $65 million a year company. I cannot believe you would make me audition for you. You look like clowns. I am not bluffing. I will take it all off the table. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to formally open the public hearing.
All right. Well, that was interesting. That's Dave Chappelle, the guy who pretends to be from the streets, and he's not. Again, I know a bullshitter when I see one. I know a lie. A liar when I fucking see one. And Dave Chappelle is a fucking liar. The guy's a bullshitter. Like I said, he tries to pretend to be one of us. And he's not. At least I don't think he is. Again, when I was, when he was a young man, I think he was like 18, 19 years old. He was already in movies and shit. At that time, I was working retail, making $7.50 an hour, part-time, by the way. Just trying to make it in this world. And, of course, no father stepped out, of course. That kind of life. And look at the way that the guy talks. Look at the fucking entitlement that was on display in that video. I'm going to pull all my money out of this community if you put affordable housing near my house. You build these affordable housing developments near me, I'm out. You have people like George Floyd moving in next door, people like Jacob Blake moving 5 minutes away from me. I'm bouncing. I don't want people like Tamir Rice and Trayvon Martin roaming outside my businesses, outside my restaurants, outside my comedy theaters. I don't want those people around me. That's your fucking champion, leftists. That's your guys' fighter. Just think about this for a second. I've watched that 8 minutes and 46 second video twice just so I can make this video, in the past at least. And the guy speaks glowingly of himself, how he's trusted by these activists. He's trusted by the Democrats. He's trusted by members of the streets. He talks about the streets like he has a fucking clue what's going on out there. He has no fucking clue what is happening in the streets because he's not from the streets, you guys. He doesn't know what it's like he just doesn't know. He doesn't know better. And I know that I'm observing, not like it's like a bad thing or anything, but the majority of those people in that room, all white. Most of them are all white. They all looked white to me. I could be wrong. Not that it matters, but you know, this is, you know, he goes out there and pretends to fucking, you know, he'll go out there and kiss George Floyd's ass, but deep down he doesn't want somebody like that near him. He doesn't want to be around any of that shit. You know, good riddance. You know, shame on anybody who goes out of the way to defend somebody like Dave Chappelle. You ought to be ashamed. Literally, you've got to be ashamed of yourself. Don't know what else to say, but you know what? This is trending on Twitter, and hopefully he gets raked over the coals. I mean, they should have just let him cancel him. All you fucking idiots on the right, you should have just let the leftists, all these wokesters, you should just cancel Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle doesn't fucking like us. Dave Chappelle hates us. Don't worry about Dave Chappelle. Don't worry about his money or his career. Worry about yourself. Worry about your family. You know, fight for the kids in your community who are being groomed and abused by these teachers in these corrupt school districts. You know, think about the truckers who are fighting for our human rights. You know, get active in your community. You know, repair relationships, repair friendships in your personal life. That's more important. Not going out of your way to seek some kind of weird quasi approval by this douchebag penthouse liberal millionaire. It's pathetic, man. It's cuckery and simpery on a whole other level, and it makes me want to vomit. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace.